So let's get to this case, Barbara. And one of the questions that everyone has, of course, is when are they going to pull the trigger on this savage right here, John Stephan Sterns? When there was his formal charges that they're holding him in jail right now, 60 counts of, we'll say, SA. But one of the things that everyone, of course, is waiting for, Barbara, and we're shocked because they would never do this in New York City. It's we believe the murder took place on February 26th. The body was found on March 1st, and they still haven't made an arrest in it because he's not going anywhere. So they have that luxury of, you know, crossing their T's and dotting their I's, which isn't always the luxury you have in this kind of business. But he's not going anywhere. What are your thoughts on that, Barbara?
I think this is, as you said, this is a luxury. They've got him to rights on these other charges, these 60-something SA charges, which are. Let me just say something here. I am so appalled and so sickened by this that I can barely speak about it. But I would do anything for you, Bill. So,
well, thanks, Barbara.
But I am so sickened and so appalled by the evidence that they've mentioned, and so you have to wonder. Well, he dropped her off at school, supposedly took her to school that morning. She never got there. And then the body is found in a place where he was reportedly fixing a flat tire. So why haven't they made an arrest? Well, I think in this case, the medical examiner has a lot to do with it. As you know, the autopsy findings are going to be a wealth of information. For instance, the cause and manner of death. We can probably say homicide with some degree of certainty, and yet people will say things like, well, what if the little girl took drugs and overdosed and someone just took her body there? Or what if the little girl fell off a roof? I mean, you can go on endlessly in speculation, but the likelihood is that this poor little child was a victim of a homicide. So why haven't they charged him? Well, when the medical examiner does an autopsy, not only do they test for everything, toxicology, tissue testing, everything you can think of, but they have to get past something here, which is pretty awful, and that is the fact that the body was not found between February 27th and March 1st. So that's 4 days of being out in the open in Florida. The weather, there's going to be some degree of decomposition. She was out, I believe, in a field, so there's going to be some evidence of animal
activity.
Yeah, and insect and animal. So what does that mean? It means we don't have a clear-cut a bruise or a stab wound or a gunshot wound that we can look at. You and I would go in on a case and you see guys laying in his living room, gunshot wound to the head, stab wound to the heart. But in the case of a decomposed body, we said apparent wounds. We didn't say gunshot wound. We didn't say stab wound. We said apparent, because when a body is in that state, it's very, very difficult to give an accurate answer. And in a case like this, you have this luxury of waiting, and you don't want to slip up in the least little detail. So you can be assured that medical examiner and the police are going to go over every aspect of the examination, every bit of the toxicology testing and histology, until they have a definitive answer.